are you ready to meet some drivers? And we're so proud of our class of 2024, and nobody better to interview them and give you a little bit of background than our buddy Alan Dietz and Jess Ballard. So want to welcome Alan up, and let's meet some drivers.
Sorry about that, everybody. I just was trying to get my 14-year-old not to kill my 10-year-old over the PlayStation, so that's why I was not in here right now. But Jess and I are very glad to be here with you again. I don't know how many years we've been doing this now, but we're excited to be here with you again. This is a great group of drivers, and Jess, why don't you get us started?
Let's do it. Finishing 7th in the 2024 Kulwicki Cup competition is Brandon Varney of Auburn, Maine. Brandon's off-track work included helping many different organizations in 2024, including the Travis Mills Foundation, the Special Olympics, and autism awareness charities.
On the racetrack, Brandon's highlights included a super late victory at Oxford Plains Speedway and also won in multiple modified races this year. Overall, Brandon had 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 8 top 10s this season. With 210 points, please welcome to the stage Brandon Varney.
How's it going, everybody? Someone's got to get last in this thing, right? Might as well be me. No, in all seriousness, this has truly been an honor. Officially, per Casey, I'm the oldest finalist ever at 26 years old. So I'm very proud of that, especially since my first race in the super late model was 2 years ago, and I had 2 starts in the super just that year, and I finished 7th in one race and won the other race. What's special about that little story is I really do feel like if I don't win that second race or I don't have a good run, probably not sitting up here today because I might not get another opportunity in a super late model. Like we're a very, very low budget family run team. So Dennis Spencer gave us an opportunity to live out my dream and race a super at Oxford Plains Speedway. And I was just proud enough to be able to pull out a win and give myself another opportunity for the next year with Dennis Spencer. I've raced in front of 8,000 people, and I'm way more nervous now than ever racing. Yeah, my story, mentioned a little bit in the video, is I've started at the absolute bottom of racing, learned how to drive a 5-speed at 18 years old. Like, I'm a very late bloomer. And today, like, I'm speaking at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like, yeah, never thought that was ever going to be a possibility in my career. Never dreamed of it. I've always thought that I was never going to make it this high. So I'm very thankful for everybody that's helped me get to this point, and just trying to make everybody proud every day. Every day I do it. Yeah, my on-track performance was okay this year. We had our good moments, we had our bad moments, but every week, my team, we learned, we got better every week. We're a very green team, very, very rookie-based team, and my team grinded every week, and I can't be more proud of them for helping me out and living out my dream. My biggest highlight isn't even in the win. It's actually just being a part of the Oxford 250, being a Mainer. I grew up going to that race. I've been going to that race for over 20 years. Ty is 15 or 16 years old. Been going to that race longer. What an incredible feeling being able to race into that race. And as somebody who never thought they were going to get that opportunity, when I saw my mom, I broke down, man. I broke down. I cried. It was a surreal moment for my family that we never thought was going to be there. And there it was. Now, that's the highest of getting into the Oxford 250. I didn't know my season was going to end there, too. We ended up getting into a wreck later that race that ended our season, which is the downfall of being a very low-budget team, is we didn't have the money or the funds to put everything together. And it would have been interesting to finish that year. I thought we were just about over the hump, getting through our rookie gremlins, and I thought we were going to do some really good things that second half of the year, and just never got that opportunity, but that's okay. That's just how it happens. But yeah, my team was so awesome that weekend, man. It was so incredible. Best weekend of my life, best day of my life was that there. Just kidding. When I got married, Ash, that was the best day of my life. Yeah, so my fundraising, I really wanted to help the Auburn Pal Center, which is a boys and girls club type club, but it more caters to the underprivileged type of person. And like these kids, man, they need basic stuff like toothbrushes, shampoo, like real basic stuff that we take for granted because we've been in good situations for so long, and it's just not the same, and it sucks to see. So if I'm able to help just one kid, that's all I can ask for. I'm going to shift gears a little bit away from racing. There's something in life that I've always wanted to be growing up. Even as a child, I always knew that I wanted to be a dad. And this April, hopefully April 8th for Ryan's birthday, and that I can be able to do Loudon, right, Ash? Yeah, I'll be a dad in April, and thank you, guys. Yeah, my life changed. I'm going a little off topic. My life changed when I saw that little child on that ultrasound, guys. Like, I can't even explain. I can't wait for these young kids to experience what I experienced. That's an absolute incredible feeling.
Wait till they call you about the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah. PlayStation, yeah, oh, yeah. Take my water, Ryan. It truly has been an absolute honor to be able to represent the Kulwicki name and have my Varney name etched with the Kulwicki name. Also something that, growing up, man, I never thought it was a possibility. It's truly an honor. KDDP has helped me so much as a driver to do what's right off the track, to be able to conduct myself as a professional. Just everything this program has brought me has made me a better person and will make my team so much better. I gotta thank Ryan, TR, Thumper, Paul, everybody that had a hand in giving me this opportunity. I'll be forever grateful for and forever appreciative of this opportunity. It has been truly surreal. There's a couple people back home that I really need to give a shout out, because without them, I'm not racing at the Pro Late Model, Super Late Model, not even my modified. I gotta thank Henry's Concrete, man. He's my uncle, and he's been there since day one for me. Whatever we needed, he's helped us. Dennis Spencer Jr. at Spencer Group Paving, giving me the opportunity to run a Super Late Model. Thank you, man. You know how much I appreciate this. My wife at home, I'm sorry I can't be home. I'll be home soon. We just got a little 16-hour drive back home. My boys, Kenny and Denny, thank you guys. You guys know how much you mean to this. And lastly, congratulations, Ty. You earned it, kid. You had a phenomenal season. Thank you, everybody.
You'll go up there.
Yes, sir.
Finishing sixth in the battle for the 2024 Kulwicki Cup is Chase Berta of Lapeer, Michigan. Chase was active in his community during the season, making multiple school visits with his race car and thrilling many school kids along the way. He made big race fans out of them. Chase was also a big contributor to the Family Literacy Center, giving hours of his time tutoring youngsters at the place where he was tutored when he was growing up.
On the track, Chase competed in the JEG CRA Series, where he won at Flat Rock Speedway earlier this year, en route to claiming the 2024 ASA CRA Series Championship. He competed in select ASA Stars Tour races across the Great Lakes region, as well as at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. In 23 races overall, Chase recorded the 1 win along with 7 top 5 finishes and 15 top 10s. With 379 points, please welcome to the stage Chase Berta.
This is the scariest part of the year right here. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate all of us Kulwicki finalists on a successful year. We all were able to win, and that was the first time in KDDP history. I'd also like to congratulate Ty on winning this year's Kulwicki Cup. It's an honor to be in such a successful group. For me, it's been a very humbling year. After all of last year's success, I had high hopes on this year, especially representing Allen. I wanted to be the best I've ever been. It all started at Berlin Raceway, where we had a flat tire, and after that weekend, the same luck followed us. However, we still managed to pick up 1 win at Flat Rock Speedway and a couple of good runs, but ultimately the bad luck was with us. However, we still won the ASA CRA Super Series Championship. Outside of being a driver, it was a very busy year, taking on a role that I haven't really been a part of. My goal was to be a complete race car driver on and off the track. Over the summer, I went to a 3-day Dale Carnegie class and learned about public speaking and just how to communicate on a whole different level. I also gave back to my community in many different ways. I became a tutor, I went to many fundraisers, and I gave a lot of materials and time to my community to help grow and to be better. Like all the drivers here, it takes a lot of great people to have a successful season. First, I would like to thank my parents, my mom and dad, for all the sacrifice and time they give to support my dream. I also want to thank Fisk Trucking and the whole Fisk family, Tim Dale, Lapeer Pool and Spa, Gordon Guffey, Josh Ebert, my sisters Megan, Courtney, and Caitlin. That's for you, Ryan. And my amazing girlfriend, Hannah. You have all pushed me all year and support my dream every day. In 207 NASCAR career starts, Alan Kulwicki won 5 times. That is not his legacy. That is not why he was selected to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He was selected because of the man he was and the man he was becoming. Man he was and the man he was becoming. This year, when I was selected to be a part of this prestigious group, I tried to figure out how I could honor his legacy and how I can start to become the man he was becoming. Back home in Lapeer, Michigan, there was a 9-year-old boy named Max. Each week, we met, and I tutored him in his schoolwork and tried to become a great role model. Yes, there were times that I wish I was at the race shop or on a date, but I never knew how rewarding it would be to live up to this, or to live up to Alan's legacy. Now, before I close, I'd like to introduce someone to you. My mom, Sherry Berta. Mom, can you please stand up? All right, now I gotta try to say this. 12 years ago, or 7 years ago, I was like any other kid. My mom woke me up for school, made my breakfast, took me to school, made me dinner, and washed my clothes. And on one day in September of 2017, that all changed. My mom fell off a ladder and became an instant paraplegic. She was told that she might never walk again, yet alone stand up, yet here she is. Through years of therapy and operations, she has overcome the odds, and I couldn't be prouder. If I needed motivation to work harder or to be a better race car driver, I need to look no further than my mom. Her motto was, "I got this." And as a team, we adapted our saying to be, "We got this." To the Alan Kulwicki Foundation, I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me to be a part of this prestigious program. Thank you, and God bless.
Finishing fifth in the 2024 KDDP points is Max Kaler from Caledonia, Illinois. Unfortunately, due to college demands, he was unable to attend tonight. Max's community service activities included his involvement with the Nicholas Richell Foundation, which helps 18 to 24-year-olds and their loved ones fight cancer. Max also contributed and volunteered at the Compassion Closet, the food pantry at his local church.
On the track during the 7 months of the Kulwicki Cup competition, Max scored 2 victories, including his first career ASA Midwest Tour win, coming in dominating fashion at Dales Raceway in August. Overall, in 18 races, Max posted 2 wins, 10 top 5 finishes, and 14 top 10s. With 618 points, let's give Max a round of applause, and I think we've also got a video of him accepting, but let's give him a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. I wish I could be there with all of you tonight, but I'm thankful for this opportunity to reflect on this year and share my thoughts with all of you. This year has been a lot of fun, both on and off the track. We had some success, winning 2 races, achieving 10 top 5s and 14 top 10s, and was able to help out numerous organizations within my community. So I want to start off by talking about the Jim Sauter Classic 200, which was a really big win for us and a dominating one. We qualified 9th, started 7th, took the lead around lap 48, and basically just set the cruise control. You know, the Dells is a place we've raced a lot over the last handful of years, whether it be with the Alive for 5 series, the Tundra series, the ASA Midwest Tour. We raced there a lot, so I think it was about time we won a big race there. We faced some interesting challenges this year, some out of our control and some within it. These challenges definitely forced me to take a step back and really evaluate everything. Like many of us, there were plenty of long nights spent in the shop and a lot of time dedicated in the off-season to acquiring sponsors to be able to race. So when things don't go your way, it can be quite frustrating. And although I didn't appreciate it at the time, I think I learned a lot from these moments, lessons that can be applied not just in racing, but in many aspects of life. So going back to race results, one thing I'm really proud of is just how fast we were almost everywhere we went this year. Whether it be Slinger, the Dells, Grundy, Jefferson, we almost always showed up with a car capable of competing for the win, and that's something that really wasn't the case just a few years ago. There were a handful of races this year that didn't go our way, races where we probably had the fastest car but got unlucky or made a bad move to put us in a position to get unlucky. Either way, I'm proud of what we've accomplished, and I'm even more proud to have done it the way we did. It's a pretty rare occurrence for there to be anyone besides my dad and I working in the shop during the week. Occasionally, one of our crew guys, Scott, will come out, but for the most part, it's just my dad and I. This can be exhausting at times, especially if the previous weekend didn't go well. One benefit is it makes me a lot easier on equipment, as I know I'm going to be the one that has to fix it. But this also means that my dad and I spend a lot of time together, something I'm extremely thankful for, and the sacrifices made by my family to allow me to go racing. So off the track, this year brought opportunities that were just as meaningful. One of the most rewarding experiences was working with the Nicholas Ritchell Foundation. So they are an organization that helps grant wishes to young adults fighting terminal illnesses. They're very similar to Make-A-Wish, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. So we decided to work with them this year for a couple of reasons, one of which is my mom went to school with Kelly Ritchell, who runs a foundation in memory of her son Nicholas, who passed away due to cancer in 2012. And this reminded me a lot of the KDDP and how the program was started in 2014. Working with them this year, I was able to learn about all the individuals they've granted wishes for and all the wishes awaiting to be granted. So one of the wishes we were able to help grant was for a young man named Angel. He was diagnosed with RMS at the age of 15, and now in his early 20s, his family reached out to the Nicholas Ritchell Foundation, and his wish, I find this pretty ironic and very fitting, was to drive a sports car around a famous racetrack. So that was really cool to help grant a wish that was racing related. So after fulfilling Angel's wish, we continued fundraising for Nick's wish, and in total, we raised over $4,000 to help grant additional wishes. So working with them this year has been an incredibly humbling experience, way more than I could have anticipated, and it really makes the issues and setbacks we face this year seem pretty insignificant. It also reminded me how lucky not just I am, but most of us in this room are tonight to just be healthy, something that many of us, I think, take for granted. I also had the privilege of working with multiple other organizations this year, such as the Compassion Closet, which is the food pantry at my local church, where I help distribute food boxes to families in need within my community, as well as the Oscar Mike Foundation, which helps injured veterans, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. All of these moments, both on and off the track, wouldn't have been possible without the incredible support system I have around me. I want to thank the KDDP program for allowing me to be a part of the program again. It was really cool to see how the program had changed and developed over the past 3 years. This program isn't just about racing. It's about carrying on Alan Kulwicki's legacy, and I'm honored to have played a small role in keeping his memory alive. I'd also like to say thank you to my family, my mom and dad, and my girlfriend Carly, as well as my crew guys, Jimmy, Aaron, and Scott, as well as a thank you to some of my sponsors, Retool of Rockford, Machinery Source, Gillies Heating and Air Conditioning, and Windsor Auto Sales, to just name a few. Racing is a team effort, and I wouldn't be here without the sacrifices you've made and the belief you've all shown in me. Finally, I want to congratulate Ty and all the other drivers on an incredible season. It was really cool to follow along throughout the season and watch everyone accumulate wins and what everyone was doing to give back to their community. I'd like to say thank you again to the program, to my supporters, and to my fellow competitors. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for all of us. Thank you and have a great night.
Finishing fourth in the 2024 Kulwicki Cup points is Evan Getz of Okanagan, Washington. Evan is extremely active in his community service, helping many organizations, including the Shriners Hospital for Children in Spokane. He raised funds and donated food and clothing for several worthy causes. Evan volunteered at the Okanagan Underground Wrestling Club, which is a nonprofit that supports around 100 local youth kids in the area, teaching the sport of wrestling. During his spare time, he could even be found helping Wenatchee Valley Super Oval's general manager, Jeremy Anders, doing odd jobs around the track. It was Evan who actually painted the track's start-finish line this season.
Before we continue, I wanted to say hey to Mr. Humpy. Mr. Humpy Wheeler's here with, and I'm glad that you finally got to visit Charlotte Motor Speedway for the first time. On the track, wait a minute, I gotta fix this. A little too short for me. On the track, Evan had a very successful season, highlighted by winning the Big Wenatchee 200, which was on Racing America, which featured some of the best super late model drivers from across the nation. He also raced pro late models at Wenatchee and at State Line Speedway, where he won the track's pro late model championship. In 24 races this season, Evan scored 3 wins, 14 top 5s, and 19 top 10s. With 633 points, please welcome to the stage, Evan Getz.
All right, before I get this started, I want you to know that Ryan actually came up with this idea. And we're going to take a selfie right here so I can remember this night for the rest of my life. Oh, get this thing fixed up here. All right, well, this race season started out pretty rough. We come up for the first race. We get done with the Pro 8 race. It's not really what we expected at Tri-Cities. You know, we expected fresh off a win after the Fall Classic the season before. We were really confident coming into the race, and we ended up getting just about wrecked on the first lap. We had a fast race car for the first couple of laps, and we ended up coming into the pits, and I think I was 3 laps down, but I was the second fastest car on the racetrack. And that's all that really mattered to me, is that I could prove that I was still the fastest car on the racetrack, even with an old right front tire. And moving on to the super late race at Tri-Cities, we had fuel issues during qualifying, and I only got to make 1 lap of qualifying, which was really, really unfortunate because we sat top of the board all day. And moving on to the race, I started just about dead last. And by the halfway break, I think I made it up to about third or fourth place, which would have been about 75 laps at Tri-City Raceway. And I remember getting out of my race car. I'm like, I'm going to win this race. Like, I had full confidence. I was the fastest car on the racetrack every single lap, and I had full confidence getting out of my race car and getting back in it. Well, we come back out after the halfway break, and I was passing my teammate, Jason Jefferson. You guys might know him. He's getting kind of old now, so maybe not. Who knows? Hope you're watching that, Jason. I was passing my buddy Jason on the inside, and we ended up wrecking each other, and we both had to go to the back. But that did not stop us. We made our all the way back up to, into the top 10, around the top 10, I'd say. And you guys probably know Preston Peltier. Well, he missed a shift on a restart and piled up 3/4 of the field, including me and Jason. And that was the first race of the season, so it started off really good. We ended up having to clip our race car in the rear, and Jason had to clip his front and rear, which was pretty unfortunate. But we moved on from that race, and it honestly it didn't get much better. It just kept going. We had these bad bugs. We show up to Wenatchee in our super late car, and we were sitting top of the board super fast, and next thing you know, next practice, we blow up a rear end. And then we dropped a rocker in the motor. And then we get a new rear end in the race car, go back out, and I get a right front flat, and I hit the wall and catch on fire. So season didn't start out too good, but once we got those bad gremlins out of the race car, they were fast. They were very fast. And I couldn't have done it without my dad and my grandpa Dave. It's us 3 in the shop at our house, and we're a bunch of goobers in the shop, to be honest. We act like my dad's kind of the only guy that really knows what he's doing in there. Me and Grandpa just kind of sit and watch and listen to my dad. Grandpa Dave sits in his chair the whole time and just kind of twiddles his thumbs and takes pictures every once in a while, listening to some like Bob Marley. I don't even know, like some old school stuff. And it's just fun being able to go to the racetrack with my family. My family plays a huge role in what we do. I wouldn't be able to do it without my parents. Grandpa Dave, even though he doesn't do much, he's the mechanic at the house, as he calls himself. But we all have fun while we do it, and that's our main goal, is to show up to the racetrack and have fun. Because when people take it too seriously, and we've done this before, we take it too seriously and we show up to the racetrack and we just don't have fun. We always argue, like me and my dad, oh my God. We get after it sometimes, like just about getting ready to punch each other in the face or throw each other on the race car. But we eventually get over it, whatever, yeah. And once we start having fun, then we're all getting along great. And when we have fun, we win. And it's just a huge deal for me because I want to be able to go to the racetrack and have fun and be able to win and then go have fun with my friends after the race. Like, I have a great friend group around the racetrack. My best friend is my spotter. My buddy Trayton Tarr, I don't know if he's watching. Probably not. But the one race I will never forget is going to the Wenatchee 200 and looking like a bunch of dorks showing up into the pits. I'm pretty sure I had my shirt off. Who knows? Oh, well. And we unload the race car, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated. Bubba Pollard and Michael Atwell were there. Those are big names. Like, I'm going to be honest, I thought they were going to really give me a run for my money. And we go out for the first practice, and I think we're sitting like third, and then pretty soon we're climbing up the board. And I came into practice one time, and my dad was like really excited for some reason. And my grandpa Dave, I've never seen him move so fast coming from the wall to the pit. Like, he was speed walking, and that does not happen. He takes his time. And my dad comes up to my window. He was like, "You just beat Bubba Pollard in practice." And I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" And I just remember the rest of that night. This was just practice night. And the rest of that night, I was just so pumped because I could say that I was faster than Bubba Pollard in one practice. And the race night comes on, and we were sitting at P1, and me and my teammate Cole Raz, we qualified P1, P2, and I just remember I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, we just beat Bubba Pollard. I might have not qualified first, but at least Cole did. And we go out for the race, and I was so nervous. I remember sitting next to my race car, like, just dead silent, eyes closed, because I was so nervous. Like, I started next to Garrett Evans, which you guys might know Garrett Evans, but he's a legend in the Northwest. The guy is amazing. And I think he's 68 years old and still wins late model races today. Like, nothing. It's no problem for him. He's always a top contender. And I was starting next to him. So I was nervous starting next to him. I had Bubba Pollard behind me. I had Cole Raz, Hayden Plybon. It was huge. And we go out. And I knew I had a good car, but at the first half, it was pretty good, but I was very loose. And I'm like, oh, man, I hope we do the right adjustment at the halfway break because I don't know if this is going to work. But I came into the halfway break in second, Bubba Pollard leading the race. And I don't know what they did. They still will not tell me during this day what they did to that race car, but it was bad fast from that first lap of the second half. And I remember passing Bubba Pollard on the outside like he was standing still, and I just was like so happy in my race car. I've never been so happy about anything, I don't think. But that was definitely the highlight of my year. We ended up winning that race, and I just remember everybody was so excited that the small town guy ended up winning, and even Bubba Pollard was happy that the hometown guy won. So I'm really appreciative of that. And that was the biggest highlight of probably my entire racing career, was just that one race. And I remember, actually, I skipped this part, but Tom was at the race, and we thought he was going to come in on a big helicopter and, like, fly in and land in the middle of the track and be like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" No, sadly. He showed up in our pits, and he had a good time. I'm really glad he got to come to that race and watch. That was a great race to watch. And moving from the Wenatchee 200, what we did for our charity this year, this actually means a lot to me, helping out the Shriners Children's Hospital. We ended up raising $5,000 for them, and it's very, very important to me because the Shriners Hospital, they help kids that are in need. And when the families cannot afford to pay for what they need to be done, like if they were to have a prosthetic leg, then they can't pay for it, Shriners Hospital will pay for it. And I got to help pay for somebody. And I got to help, maybe a kid, maybe just one kid or maybe two kids. And that makes me just happy. And it fills my heart, it makes my heart big. And the people at the Shriners Hospital are very, very grateful for any donation. And I'll never forget that one day where I got to sign that check for $5,000. It was a huge deal for me, not only for me, but for my mom. She came with me. I'm going to be honest, my mom does all my marketing and everything on my Facebook. Like, that's not me. My mom's, like, extremely smart, My dad does the race car stuff. My mom does all the internet stuff. I just drive them. And that Shriners Hospital, it's just an amazing thing. I went there. I broke my collarbone mid-race season, and I went to Shriners, and they were very, very good. They were very fast. They told me what I needed to do. They hooked me up with the right stuff, and I'm just very grateful that I could do that for them. And I'd really like to congratulate Ty. You're 15 years old. I remember when I was 15, and I wasn't as good as you. You're going to go somewhere one day, and I'm going to be cool because I was in the same class as you in the Kulwicki. So I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight. I'd like to thank all my sponsors. I couldn't do it without them, especially my neighbor, Alan Gann. I don't know if your guys' neighbors buy you race cars, but mine did. So that's pretty cool. I'd like to really thank all my sponsors. I couldn't do them without them, and my parents, and Skylar, and Grandpa Dave, and my Papa Scott, Grandma Phyllis, Grandma Kelly. She makes food at the racetrack. Can't live without the food at the racetrack. And everybody that helps me out, just off and on, Dale Winterberg, everybody. And thank you guys. Have a good night.
On the stage. You did right up there. Here in just a minute, Tom's going to come up and introduce tonight's special guest. I would like to mention a couple of things, too, before we continue. You know, what Evan was saying about Ty Frederickson. And, you know, just to tell you how successful this program's been, look at this year's Craftsman Truck Series champion. Less than 10 years ago, he was the inaugural KDDP champion, Ty Majeski. Did that in 2015. And that's something to think about because these drivers, it just goes to show you whenever this committee chooses these drivers, the thought that goes into it. These young men that have come up here tonight, some of them are coming up here with no notes, some are coming with bullet points, and they're doing a great job. Jess and I are reading something Tom wrote word for us, except this part. So they're doing a great job. And the other thing I'd like to say before we continue too is every year that I've been coming here to the KDDP program, and I apologize, I got a cold, so my voice is a little bit worse than normal. But Bobby Allison's been here, including last year. And I'll tell you what, that guy did more for the NASCAR Hall of Fame than anybody that I know of that's in that Hall of Fame. Even with limitations as he got older, you saw him at every function. And it was a very important deal for him to come to the Kulwicki Driver Development Program Banquet. And I just want to mention him because he's definitely missed tonight. But again, before we bring Tom up to interview or to bring up our special guest, I do want to mention one of our sponsors. The University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee's College of Engineering and Applied Science is proud to be the alma mater of NASCAR Hall of Famer Alan Kulwicki. The Wisconsin native earned his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering here in 1977. He went on to apply his technical education to achieve success on the track and a coveted Hall of Fame spot. We're also proud of current mechanical engineering student Levon Vandergeest, a Kulwicki Driver Development finalist for the second year running. His performance on the track, in the classroom, and in the community are impressive. A recipient of the UWM Alan Kulwicki Memorial Scholarship, he is also given back by raising over $20,000 for local charities. He embodies the Kulwicki legacy at UWM. As Alan Kulwicki said about his UWM education, getting the education may have put me behind schedule a few years with my racing career, but it's paying off. It has definitely been essential in the success of operating my own team. It's an asset that I'm proud of. UWM is proud to be a 2024 sponsor of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. It is Alan's legacy. He would say to each of you running the program, thank you. Now if Tom Roberts will come up, he will introduce us to our guest tonight.
Thank you, Alan. We appreciate it. Well, we made it logistically, He was in Indy today for the big show up there, and we've been back and forth, texting and everything, but it's a pleasure to introduce one of our special guests for the evening. He's pretty much done everything in the broadcasting field. His racing roots, which I have so much respect for, date back to the New England short tracks, where he was actually the public address speaker, announcer at Riverside Park, Thompson, Stafford. That was back during his college days. Then he got noticed by the late Ken Squire, who was the co-founder of the Motor Racing Network. So Ken reaches out to our guest, and he began as a freelancer for MRN, and then rose all the way through the ranks to be the co-anchor, general manager, and executive producer in 5 years. In 1981, he was the lead broadcaster for ESPN's first live NASCAR telecast. In 83, he joined the CBS broadcast team as a pit reporter. Also instrumental in Nashville Network's beginnings and TBS's coverage. Within after 15 years on pit road, CBS Sports made him their lap-by-lap announcer, with Ken Squire becoming the studio host. The pair worked to the end of 2000 when the CBS contract ended, so then he switched over to Fox Sports to become the lead announcer for, first of all, their Formula One coverage, and that was on Fox Sports Net. And then in 2001, he moved full-time to Fox as the lead announcer for their NASCAR package. He's been part of the broadcast coverage of 45 editions of the Daytona 500. Admittedly a car buff, you see him all over TV all the time. And if you watch the Barrett Jackson shows, it's evident that he loves cars. I could go on and on and on. So many accolades about this gentleman, but he was a special friend of Alan Kulwicki's. He knew him well. He admired and he appreciated the incredible Alan Kulwicki story. And, I will forever be thankful to him with his connection to Alan, and I think we all should be, because a lot of people don't realize this. As a charter member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame voting panel, he led the charge for several years to get Alan nominated, and it finally came to fruition in 2019, the class of 2019, when Alan was named a member. And a lot of that had to do this gent right here. I want to introduce Mr. Mike Joy. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, TR. I think you just gave my speech. And thanks to all of you for being here for a great celebration on this wonderful night. I'm just blown away listening to the speeches and the videos, and the charity component of this program is just so overwhelming. When I was trying to become a young racer, we only had one charity in mind. It was the Me Foundation. Send some money to me. I need to buy tires. I need to buy gas. We're going racing. The charity thing was very much in the background back then. I'm glad that's not the case now. I first met Alan at the Milwaukee Mile. He was running his ASA car. And I walked up. We were broadcasting that ASA race for MRN. And I walked up with a tape recorder to try to get a couple sound bites, and I introduced myself, and he says, "I know who you are. I listen to you every Sunday." I was very surprised at that. And he said, "In about 2 years, I'm going to be down there racing with you guys." I said, "All right." And I kind of filed that away because I had heard that before from other people. But Alan meant it, and he did it, and you all know the story of how that happened and how it came together. watching the video here, there was one line that just caught me askew, and I think I saw Paul Andrews suppress a chuckle when somebody said, Alan was great with people. Yeah. Alan was very good with fans. Alan was great with sponsors, and he was even better with sponsor CEOs' wives. He could charm anybody. And I will tell every one of you that if you have the head of a company that sponsors you and you're good to them, that's great, you have a deal. If their spouse likes you, you have the golden ticket. So keep that in mind. It worked very well for Alan, and particularly one night here in uptown Charlotte, when we were at a dinner with all of the Alugard and Xerox antifreeze folks, talking about what would be the new commercials for the next year to play on the races. And you can find these on YouTube. And they are really funny because Alugard and Xerox had two drivers. They had Alan and they had Rusty Wallace. Well, we looked at the storyboards that night, and they convinced Rusty and Alan that this would be a cool thing to do. And then the script started to come out, and darned if Rusty didn't have most of the speaking lines. Well, you know Rusty, all right? If there's a conversation, he is going to dominate it, right? And that's how these commercials went, the whole first run of commercials. And then they did the second flight of commercials, and one of them was written by Alan. And it's really terrific because they took Rusty and they mummified him with duct tape. So he couldn't say a word. And Alan did the whole spot. He goes, you know, Rusty would like you to know this about Xerox antifreeze. They're all on the internet. And I think they're just a great glimpse into the personalities of both of them. So that's kind of fun. I got a ton of Alan Kulwicki stories I could tell you tonight, but Father Grube is here. And Dale, it is so great to see you and so great to have you here with us. And if you don't know, certainly Paul and Alan's crew, they had him covered on the racetrack and certainly deserve a really great portion of Alan's success and championship and his induction in the Hall of Fame. But as far as who Alan Kulwicki is and was as a person, that's Father Grube. He was more responsible for that than anybody because Alan had a very, very deep faith and a very great trust in that man right there. And I'm really glad you're here. I get choked up just seeing Father Dale here. Yeah, Alan and people. One night we were in Daytona and we went up the beach side to go do Pat Patterson's radio show. And Al and I, we talked in the garage area, and I said, come on, I'll meet you up there. You know, he really didn't want, oh, do I have to do it? Yes, you do. Come on, I'll meet you up there. And, you know, between me and TR prodding him, you know, to want to do this, we're up there, and it's a nightclub. And the whole idea to bring people into the nightclub is there's going to be NASCAR drivers there, and they're going to be on the PA, they're going to be on the radio, and it's going to be a fun deal. And a friend of mine was there with his wife, Squeak Kennedy. He was a racer from Daytona. In fact, I drove the 24 Hours of Daytona for him the following year. And his wife, who was very cute blonde, which of course caught Alan's attention right away, you know, there was a little bit of small talk. And when Alan went up on stage and did the thing with Pat, and he gets off and, you know, handshakes, and then he has to take off, and she goes, well, he's kind of a, you know, just kind of a limp fish. I don't get it. What's so big about this guy? And I went, Nancy, what you have to understand is that while he's sitting here making small talk with all of you, his mind is going spring rates, shock settings, and gear ratios. I said, that's not the Alan Kulwicki you want to know. And darned if the next race in Daytona, we all ended up going somewhere again, and Alan was just a party animal because he'd qualified well and everything was going well that week. And she goes, I get it. I see what you mean. I see what this guy is all about. He's pretty wonderful. But boy, was he dedicated and single-minded when he had to be. And I'll go deeper, but again, Father Grube is here, and maybe I just better not. But I hope it gives you an idea of just what a special and unique person he was. There were a lot of people that tried to be like Alan, tried to run the race car from the driver's seat, tried to make all the calls as the race was going on. I haven't met anybody who can, or who could. But gosh, with the help of a great crew, he did. Alan is the last owner-driver to win the NASCAR Cup Championship. And the NASCAR PR people will say, well, Tony Stewart. I go, Tony Stewart? I love Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart walked in a situation where Gene Haas was willing to spend $25 million a year on racing, net loss, and Tony just walked in and, okay, here we go. Tony didn't put all of his belongings in a small U-Haul trailer behind his pickup truck and come to North Carolina with nothing and run his whole rookie season with one race car. Alan Kulwicki did. So, yes, Alan's the last true owner-driver champion of NASCAR. And I think before him, you have to go back to 1960 and Rex White. I don't think anybody else won the championship with their own equipment and with just a small operation like, say, Rex had or like Alan had. So, anyway, that's how special he is to me. And I see the uniforms there and the cards and the plaques, and I don't have a single thing of Alan's except great memories, and that's really what I need. So our other guest tonight, other special guest, who I'm going to bring up, we're going to have a little fireside chat here, started out like many of you, and you're about to hear his story, but come Daytona, come Bowman Gray, if we escape Bowman Gray, come Daytona, he will be driving the most storied car in all of NASCAR, the famed Wood Brothers number 21. Would you please welcome Josh Berry? Perfect. I'd say we rehearsed this, but we didn't. You
How about now?
Yep.
Also, it's a tire side chat, not a fireside chat.
Thank you.
I thought it was a typo as well, but I get it now.
Oh, you're right. TR told me that but, on the way in, and yes, it is. Wow. First, thank you for being here. I know you have a lot of demands on your time, both race team and family, and especially this time of year. But how did it all start for you? First time in a race car.
Man, this is a long story. But really, where I grew up in Middle Tennessee, and was a fan of racing growing up. I'm 34 now, so I was born in '90, so I got to kind of became a fan of NASCAR in the mid '90s, and ultimately, my dad and some of my family had messed around racing go-karts a little bit, and I wanted to give that a try. And my 8th birthday, I got a go-kart, and we went racing. So that was a long time ago. We raced locally there in Tennessee for a couple years. Ultimately, built a 4-cylinder car later on. Go-kart racing's expensive. I'm sure some of y'all that know that have done that in here. It's really expensive. So we built a little 4-cylinder car. Was planning on racing that at the Nashville Fairgrounds on the quarter mile. Unfortunately, I lost my mother unexpectedly. I was 13. That kind of put a damper on our career a little bit, or my racing there for a little while. But ultimately, raced that for a couple years, and then really where things kind of started to take a turn for me to have some more success was we started legend car racing again at the Nashville Fairgrounds and racing on the quarter mile there, which was a lot of fun. And like a lot of you in here, right? It was me and my dad and a couple of us, basically pouring everything we got into going racing. And honestly, for me, to that point, that was as far as I thought I would ever go.
At what point did you get the idea that, okay, local racing is fine, let's try touring, let's try something bigger?
Well, that's where it gets pretty interesting, I guess. And this is a good example of you never know who's paying attention to you or who you talk to, who you may bump into, run into, whether it's at an event or a autograph session, meet and greet. But throughout, this is now, we'll fast forward to 2009. I'm racing still legend cars. iRacing had began getting more and more popular. I actually started racing online a little bit before that with a prior game, which was NASCAR 2003 season. Yeah, back in the day. And then that transitioned to iRacing. And actually through there, raced pretty competitively on there. And honestly, what it was for me, it was a way to race inexpensive was really what I was looking at, right? Like I was racing on there, spending way too much time on there for sure, but racing on there, racing real people, obviously. And, I could race whenever I wanted. It didn't cost money, it cost just a little bit of money, right? A monthly subscription and different things like that. Well, I struck up a friendship with Dale Earnhardt Jr. on there. And that's really what changed my life, honestly, that he, I prefer him to tell the story versus me because I don't really know why he chose me. But, we became friends and, he'd watch me race on there. I remember sending him videos, like onboard videos I had of me racing a legend car. And ultimately he got to know more and more about me. We talked and he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, man, I'd really like to just drive a stock car, right? Like there's no way I'm ever going to do that, right? And he offered me a test at Motor Mile Speedway. The test went well. That turned into a 2-race opportunity. Those races went well. And then ultimately that summer, I moved from Tennessee. I think I was 19 at the time, moved to North Carolina and went to work at Junior Motorsports, literally sweeping the floors. I washed the cars after the races. Tony Jr. probably remembers me. He probably remembers how dumb I was. Literally sweeping the floors, washing the cars, was hardly allowed to put them together, only tear them apart, took care of the pit practice car, and really started at the bottom of there. And then on the evenings, I got to go work on the late model car and go racing on the weekends, which is what made it worth it.
Did you have any doubts about what you could do in this business? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Well, I definitely never thought that I would ever make it to the Cup Series without a doubt. I think, I look at my career, I feel like I just was, just grinding away at it really, right? And maybe to a fault, I guess. I raced, to kind of close the story on that and how I got here, right? Like, we raced, ultimately ended up racing full-time for Junior Motorsports for over a decade. We were pretty much, winning, towards the end, anywhere between 10 to 15 races a year. Won the Martinsville, Valley Star race, Myrtle Beach 400, Car Store Championship, had just checked the boxes on accomplishing everything. And what made that so much fun was, we did it with the same group of guys, and I worked in the shop every day. I mean, I was thankful enough that, that's what I did for a job. I made a little money doing that too, but I worked on my race car every single day, and that's what made it, so much fun those years. And I think that, if I could give any advice, I listened into Ty and his story, and I can tell already, that he's very talented and has a lot of aspirations of moving up. But, my advice to you would be, don't worry so much about the future that you don't enjoy today, right? Because still, I'm heading into my second series and second season in the Cup Series, and the most fun I ever had racing was going late model racing with your buddies, with your family. So I think enjoying that is something that's really important. And honestly, that advice came from Dale Jr., surprisingly, right? He always talked about how much fun it was doing that. But just amazing that I spent years grinding away at the short tracks, and then was finally able to get an opportunity to race an Xfinity car part-time. And we talk about, Brandon was talking about being old at 26. I was 31, I think, getting an Xfinity car and won at Martinsville, and here I am now racing Cup cars now.
Don't worry about that. I'll introduce you to Harry Gant, and we'll tell Dick Trickle stories. So age is not a barrier. All right, let's bring this right up to the top level when you became super sub in the Cup Series.
Man, that was, I never will forget that day, honestly. We were in Las Vegas fixing to have Xfinity practice, and our competition director at Junior Motorsports was Mike Baumgartner. He come and got me. He's like, hey, you come with me. And I was like, oh, what, Normally that's not a good sign. He drug me. We're headed towards the Cup garage. I'm like, what's going on? And obviously, Chase had got injured, and they were, I was getting thrown into that opportunity, and I tell you, man, it was just what was so unique about that too was that I was in the midst of conversations with Stuart Haas for the following year. So basically, I pretty much knew at that moment, like, my back was against the wall, and this was going to be it. How I performed in this car was going to determine whether I was going to race Cup cars, the following season or not, right? I mean, it was an audition that I not sure that I necessarily needed, but I got thrown into, and man, what an amazing opportunity it was to go do that. And the first race didn't go great, but the next week went to Phoenix and finished in the top 10, and then had several other good runs after that, and it was a dream come true, honestly, getting to do that.
You never really had time to be worried about it, did you?
No, I mean you had no choice but to just do it, right? I mean that's the best thing about it. I mean really you had no time to worry about it or fret over it. You just had to just get to work day in and day out. I mean even after I remember our first race was at Vegas and didn't go well. I think the next day we got home late. The next morning, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm running the simulator for Phoenix. I think we run like 500 and some laps or something on Monday. I was burning them up, trying to get ready. So it was a great opportunity for sure.
So Kevin Harvick retires, and Forever becomes Forward, and a whole new chapter for you.
Yeah, no, that was such an amazing opportunity to get to go through that, and obviously we all know how it ended, I guess, but it was still such a great experience going to race there and race the 4-car, race with Rodney Childers, who was a huge advocate of mine and has become a great friend of mine. Getting to drive full time in the Cup Series is such an honor, right? And I think sometimes it's so hard to even fathom that really only 36 people get to do this, right? The odds are constantly against you, right? And it's so hard to get to that level to just make the cut to make it to the Cup Series, let alone win races, win championships, like you're talking with Alan. So it's amazing, that opportunity came together, and so many people supported that and helped make it happen. And it was a lot of fun last year, right? It's tough, and I'll say this: everybody asks me, "Well, how's Cup racing?" It's hard. It is really hard. That's the honest to God truth. And it's everybody at that level is so insanely good, but we're all working day in and day out to get better.
So Rodney's a good friend, and we talk a lot, and he told me that when Forward turned to For Sale, his biggest job became keeping his team together and keeping people from jumping ship, leaving the sport entirely, giving up, or worse, trying to motivate everybody to continue to do their best to support you. How hard a time was that, and how did you maintain your positive level of approach all through that?
Well, it's definitely something that I've never been a part of before, dealing with something like that. I think, looking through last season, kind of was in, going through that whole process was kind of in like 3 stages. You had the first stage, which was not knowing what was happening, but hearing rumblings of things, reading things on the internet, which was probably the worst, right? Because everybody was the most uncomfortable. And then the most fun we had was, kind of when we knew what was happening and that we, we're all going to need jobs and go race. Like that was, when we were at our best. And we had some great runs throughout the summer. And those were all times when we were out there trying to prove ourselves, right? Each and every one of us on the team, myself, Rodney, all of us were out there trying to prove ourselves to stay in the Cup Series. So it was a lot of fun going through that with that group. And then, at the end, it always kind of gets hard, right? Because everybody's starting to go different directions, and we had some bad luck along the way. But man, what just an experience that I'll never. You take so much from those hard days. I remember back to, going back to when late model racing, right? And when what makes you great is the bad days, the tough moments, right? Like how you respond when you run bad, right? Like you don't, you're in the shop the next morning working, trying to figure out why. And I think you take a lot of the lessons from that this year from me of like things that I could do better, things that happened and why they happened and how to apply those going forward. And yeah, I mean, thankfully for me, I get another crack at it here in a couple months with the Wood Brothers.
When that call came, what was the feeling? What was the reaction? Was it something you could even believe.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, it was a fun time for me because we were having a few different conversations. And like I said, the kid in me, right, like goes back to, me being, 5 or 6 years old playing with the diecast cars in the carpet of our living room, right? And then now you're kind of meeting with a few different teams, trying to figure out what's going on. And, for me, whenever I sat down with the Wood brothers and learned about the legacy that they have, and obviously their, strong affiliation with Team Penske and everything that they got going on with Ford, I mean, it was a kind of a, match really from the start for us. And I think it felt like a great opportunity for me. And man, it's so much fun. This reminds me a lot of, going in their shop and talking to Lynn and Eddie and getting all the stories. Every time you go in there, you might go in there to, just the other week I went in there to pick up some clothes, and I felt like I stayed there for 3 hours, or I was there for 3 hours listening to all the stories. So it's been a lot of fun.
And it will be, I promise. That's just a wonderful organization. All right, so I got to tease you a little about this. Benny Parsons, great driver, great champion. And every time a race would be on ABC or one of the networks that didn't cover auto racing a lot, it would be Detroit cab driver Benny Parsons, wheeling the number 72. Well, Benny was only a cab driver if somebody called in sick. I knew his dad, Harold, and Harold owned a taxi business, a big one, right next to Tiger Stadium in Detroit. And Benny worked on the cars when he wasn't racing, but he was never a full-time cab driver. That's how they like to portray him. So what's your reaction when people say, the bank teller from Tennessee, Josh Berry, driving for the Wood Brothers?
It's probably pretty similar. Growing up as a kid, my dad, my family owned a restaurant. So really that's what I remember the most growing up, right, is I was always, he was always there and I was always there, right? Like just being around that environment. And when I first started getting old enough to work, I helped around there and worked a little bit along with, racing a little bit and going to school and everything. And I had a opportunity in my senior year of high school to go through a class that I had that I could leave school a class early and go work at that bank for like an hour and a half. I can't remember if I got paid at that point or not, probably not. But I was like, hell yeah, I can get out of school early. I'm going, right? So my dad encouraged me to do it, and I went and worked at a bank for, it was probably about a year and a half. Okay. And honestly, it was a great experience, really just a great life experience for me, right? Like you just learn so much about finance and bank. And yeah, I was the guy, I was cashing the checks and taking the deposits and all that stuff. And everybody looked at me crazy because I was like 18 and they'd come up to me, they'd avoid me, right? Like they'd walk up to the older lady that looked like she knew what was going on. They'd look at me and they say, I don't know, he's not counting my money. So it was an experience for sure, but I took a lot from that as well.
All right, I might have to say it just once, but I'll try not to let the ABC guys hear about it. Okay, we'll leave it at that. This group of young drivers that's here tonight, they'd all love to be you. So, what advice would you give your younger self that you could pass on to them?
Well, I think, for one, it's like what I mentioned to Ty about enjoying the moment, which honestly, looking back, I really think that I did do a good job of that, and maybe too good of a job of that, because I think looking back, maybe I could, I wouldn't change anything about how I got here and how I got to the Cup Series, but I could have been more confident in myself. I could have believed in myself more. I could have sat moved the goalposts further away, right? Because I never knew what was possible, right? And literally, from here when we sit tonight, 4 years ago, I was the weekly series national champion. And I thought my goal was to be the most badass short track racer in the country, and that's what I wanted to be. And looking back through those years leading to that, maybe I could have, just pushed myself out of my comfort zone more to market myself better, to build my brand, right? Like, especially you look nowadays, these races are, obviously a program like this has a tremendous amount of reach, and all the races are broadcast and everybody's paying attention. It's like I said earlier, you never know what could happen, who could be watching, who might walk up to you at an autograph session or a meet and greet and just treat people right, treat people with respect. Show up, work hard, and race your ass off.
Folks, I would say it all worked out just fine. Josh Berry, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Josh. Josh, great example of perseverance and sticking with it. And we've heard a lot of stories about perseverance tonight, whether it was Alan Kulwicki or like Brandon Varney, and Ty's 15, so he will persevere at some point, I'm sure. But I look at Travis Braden right there, which, by the way, Jess and Travis got engaged recently. I meant to announce that, so congratulations. But Travis working hard and won the Snowball Derby back in 2019, and I think that's the biggest thing for you guys to remember as you go along, or even young racers that are watching at home, is there will be times when things get tough, and it's really going to test you, and how you work through that and persevere is going to determine where you go. And it will take work, but I think it's all worth it in the end. We want to thank another one of our sponsors here tonight, Pinnacle Financial Partners. They provide a full range of banking, investment, trust, mortgage, and insurance products and services, delivered with distinctive service and effective advice to businesses and individuals who want a banking relationship that goes beyond transactions. It was founded in Nashville, Tennessee in 2000 to break the traditional mold and create an award-winning workplace that would attract and retain the best, most experienced financial service professionals. The founders believed that associates who love their jobs and enjoy work-life balance would naturally give their best to clients. The firm is the #1 and fastest growing bank in the Nashville, Murfreesboro, Franklin MSA, according to 2024 deposit data from the FDIC. Pinnacle is number 11 on the 2024 list of 100 best companies to work for in the U.S., its 8th consecutive appearance, and was recognized by American Banker as one of America's best banks to work for 12 years in a row, and #1 among banks with more than $10 billion in assets in 2024. And thanks again to the folks from Pinnacle.
All right, top three. Finishing third in the final 2024 KDD point standings is Levon Vandergeest of Merrill, Wisconsin. A second-year finalist, once again, Levon was a stellar in his community service work and his social media skills. He represented Allen in the KDDP in a tremendous manner while also studying engineering at Allen's alma mater, the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. Levon was always busy throughout the season, raising funds for 23 different organizations in his community, including organizations that support youth, veterans, and many other sources helping those in need.
On the track, it was certainly a year of improvement for Levon and the number 23 team. He turned heads everywhere he raced, scoring 6 more top 5s and 10 more top 10s in 2024 compared to his stats in 2023. He picked up a big win at Golden Sand Speedway, finished second in the ASA Midwest Tour point standings, and finished on the podium in the Alan Kulwicki Memorial at Slinger Speedway. In 29 total races during the KDDP competition, Levon recorded 1 win, 11 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. With 913 points and finishing third this year, please welcome to the stage Levon Vandergeest.
Hi guys. First of all, I just want to say it's an honor to speak in front of all of you. Mike Joy, it was really cool to hear your stories about Alan Kulwicki.
Josh, it's really cool to hear your stories. I think I can take a lot out of that. And then overall, this was a really great group of drivers to be a part of. Derek, you had a really great year on and off the track. Chase, that was an awesome story that you told when you were up here. And really, this is just a great group. Everyone won races, and I think we all did a great job representing Allen on and off the track. For me, the focus of the last 2 years has definitely been honoring the legacy of Allen Kulwicki, and I can safely say that he was a really special person. And I'm not saying that because I knew him personally, but I can see that in all the people that I meet and talk to about who he was and all the stories that I hear. He made a really big impact on a lot of people's lives in the racing community. So as I learned more about Allen Kulwicki and heard more stories from people that I met at the racetrack and in the Kulwicki Driver Development Program, the book that I read about him, written by Father Gruba, and the movie that I watched that was made by fans of him while he was alive, I really came to understand that he was someone that I aspire to be. So that's kind of really what I took out of the last 2 years mainly. Following in Allen's footsteps, this year I committed much more to being a bigger part of working on my race car. Not that I wasn't last year, but just taking a little bit out of Allen's playbook and being a lot more meticulous with the race car. I would say I worked on it probably 50 to 60 hours a week throughout this whole season. It was definitely a grind. That was on top of the community service and stuff. And that helped out big time with cutting down on our DNFs that we had last year. We went from 8 mechanical failures last year to just 1 this year, and that really helped us be a better competitor at the track. And this is a good time to say a quote that I got from someone that was a pretty big mentor to me throughout the course of the program, Danny Cameron. He had a quote that in order to win races, you got to be at the bus stop. You can't have mechanical failures. You got to be in the top 5 every week, and that's the key to winning races and championships. So I would say we did a lot better job this year of being at the bus stop. We finished, our biggest goal this year was the ASA Midwest Tour, running for the championship, and we finished in the top 10 in 10 out of 11 of the races that we competed in the ASA Midwest Tour, and we were a competitor at a lot of them. We ended up with 3 fast times and multiple podium finishes. Nearly won the Gandra 250 this year at Kakana. That was a huge one for us, but came up just short. Overall, though, on the track, it was a huge improvement this year. We're definitely someone that people are watching this year, which I think is different from last year. In pursuit of representing who Allen was, a big part of this season was also supporting our community with my platform as a race car driver. In order to do that, over the off-season, we came up with a plan to do the hood stickers like you saw in the video with the Kulwicki Driver Development Program logo. And we came up with 23 different organizations with the help from my mom over the off-season. Yeah, we had people donate $10. We did it for sponsors and fans, and it was a really great way to get the racing community involved with what we were trying to do throughout the year. And we ended up raising over $25,000 and helping 25 different organizations throughout our community. Some of the causes that we supported were supporting kids in our community, Parkside Preschool. We brought the race car out there, raised a lot of money for those guys. We supported victims of domestic violence, our local humane society, veterans. That was one of my favorite ones of the year, the Salute Your Troops 100. Like I talked about in the video, we raised like $2,000 in 15 minutes during that race. It was really cool to see the race community band together for that one. Raise money for fighting cancer, food insecurity. I spent some time volunteering at Tranquil Acres, which is a community food garden in our community. Mental health awareness, and then finally homelessness was another cause that we supported throughout the year. Also, following in Allen Kulwicki's footsteps, I've been working on my my degree as a mechanical engineer at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And the main reason that I chose UW-Milwaukee was because I knew of Allen's roots at the school. So it's been really cool to follow in his footsteps and see how the engineering degree has helped me develop as a race car driver and become more hands-on with the setups especially. I think that's helped me out a ton this year. And then being associated with Alan in the state where he grew up has also introduced me to a lot of really awesome people over the course of the last 2 years that I've met at the racetrack, and even some of the people that we've donated money to this year that knew Alan have given me awesome memorabilia, and it's just been really cool. Even other race car drivers, Justin Mondyke, who was in the program, gave us a poster for our Polish feast that we had at the AK Memorial Race. So it's just been really cool to see the community come together and how big of an impact Alan had on everyone in Wisconsin. Lastly, I would just like to give a thank you to everyone that helped make this season happen, that I couldn't do it without. Everyone who donated to the causes that we supported this year, I need to give a big thank you to those guys. We would have never made it to 25,000 without them. Our awesome race crew, I played a lot bigger part in doing pretty much all the maintenance and stuff on the car during the week, but without the crew, we would never be able to do what we did at the track. They were a huge help. Chris and Jason Weinkoff, they've been with me ever since I was, ever since I started in Bandoleros, really. So huge thank you to those guys, Jake and Emily Broche, Ben DeBrew, Jacob Roosh, Junior Katsky, and Quentin Tomachik, and we just have a really great group of guys that band together and supported us the last, really for my whole racing career. Also, some people that I met through KDDP that have given me great advice and shared great stories over the last couple years. Thumper gave me some really good advice, told me plenty of awesome stories. Father Gruba, I think we got a lot closer over this last year, and it's been awesome hearing stories from you and getting great advice. And then Danny Cameron, like I mentioned before, has really given me some awesome advice over the course of the last 2 years. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without those guys. And then lastly, my mom and dad. My mom was a huge help with organizing a lot of the fundraising that we did this year. I couldn't have done it without her. And my dad has been my biggest supporter really since day one, since when I was in Bandoleros. There was one point where I almost quit racing. I didn't think I was cut out for it for a while in Bandoleros. I just wasn't winning races. I think I was 3 years in. And he had a talk with me, and he kind of pushed me through that point. And then the next year I won my first championship, and it was kind of history ever since then. So I couldn't have done it without those guys. And then lastly, my closing note, I just want to say it's been an honor to represent Alan over the last 2 years. And the friends that I've met through being in this program and the things that I've learned and accomplished are going to be things that I'll carry on for many years to come. Thank you.
And now we'd like to bring up Paul Andrews, of course, the championship winning crew chief for Allen back in 1992 for a special presentation.
Thanks, Alan. This is Levon's second year with us at KDDP, and it's been a great honor to watch. It's been really great to watch him grow. He's grown a lot, and he's come a long way in his speeches. I think he did a great job just a few minutes ago. But we'd like to offer him or give him a new award, another award, the KDDP Extra Mile Award, because he has truly went the extra mile. So, Levon, congratulations. Here you go.
I'd like to also add that Levon has just been such a pleasure to work with over the last 2 years, and he definitely deserves this award, because if there's anybody that's ever been in our program who has gone the extra mile, it's this young man right here. Whether it was myself needing quotes or I don't know how many times that like Ryan was needing a video or Casey was needing an interview, Levon was always right there first in line. Plus, I don't know how many times I'd have like my buddies over and we're watching your races live stream, and I start cheering. I said, "Here comes Levon." They said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Don't you see the KDDP logo on the hood of that race car?" So that was definitely, going the extra mile, but you deserve that, young man.
Finishing as runner-up in the 2024 Kulwicki Cup Battle is Derek Gluchocki of Dartmouth, Massachusetts. On the charitable side, Derek raised money for several different food pantries and animal shelters throughout the season. He was extremely active in raising money and awareness for suicide prevention, including a major presence in the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention efforts.
On the track, Derek raced primarily in the American. This is so aggravating. Sorry, I think I fixed it now. Anyway, on the track, Derek raced primarily in the American Canadian Tour during the 2024 season. Among his highlights were winning the Northeast Classic at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the third straight season, as well as the huge Oxford 125 battle at Oxford Plains Speedway in August. And on a personal note, if you watched our Racing America coverage, I called that along with a French-Canadian announcer. Just think about that for a minute, the contrast. Heads were exploding all over Maine for that. In 26 races, Derek posted 7 wins, 12 top 5 finishes, and 20 top 10s. With 917 total points, please welcome to the stage your 2024 runner-up, Derek Gluchocki.
Alrighty. Like everyone else kind of touched on, this is definitely the hardest part of the year. So, all right. Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to everyone involved with the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. It's honestly been a super life-changing year for me, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. So, first off, I'd like to start off by sharing how it changed my life this year. So, a little bit of background about me. I did apply last year in 2023, and I made the semifinalist, but unfortunately weren't a part of the final 7. So, coming into this year, I knew I had a lot to learn and improve upon. One of the areas this year where I feel like I made the biggest improvements is my presence and interviews. Throughout the Zoom calls we had this year with Lenny Venturini and a couple other influencers, it definitely taught me to be more effective and become more confident in my interviews. Some of my best interviews were done with Racing America and most recently on YouTube with Sid's View podcast. This year, I was also able to use my platform for many good things this year. Our main charity, as Alan touched on, was the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Honestly, it was the most life-changing part of my year. We were able to set up a couple booths this year at multiple different racetracks, and just the amount of people that come up to me and just tell their story about what they deal with and what they go through on a daily basis is truly touching, and just to be able to have a booth and have people come up to you and say that is just, it's so inspirational. Although it's a really hard topic to talk about, I'm proud to have brought it up in the racing world and given people the resources to feel like they can talk about it. Another charity we chose this year that was actually close to my heart was the Tilvalhalla Project. It's a project that gives plaques to fallen veterans to commemorate their services, so no veterans ever forgotten. This meant a lot for me because one of my crew guys, Chad Carvalho, was actually a Marine for 6 years and served 2 tours in Iraq. So super thankful for everything he done and all the rest of the veterans out there. Big thank you to Chad and his wife, Kaylee, for everything they do for me in my racing. If I can inspire just one person to ask for help or lend a hand in some way or help someone in need, I've done something far more than I could ever do behind the wheel of a race car. This year we had many defining moments which were touched on already. We were able to win Loudon for the 3rd year in a row, become the first American Canadian Tour driver to accomplish that, so that was a huge deal for me and my small team. We were also able to win 7 races this year, including the Oxford Plains 125, which actually TR was there for, and I feel like it was probably my best on-track performance throughout the whole season. Short review of the race. We started inside the top 10 and fell back to about 20th, just trying to get down in line. And we worked our way through the field methodically and put ourselves in good spots. And with under 5 laps to go, made a 3-wide move for the lead to pick up our 2nd win of the year, which made us the winningest driver on the American Canadian Tour. Super thankful for my spotter Kurt keeping me calm and talking me through these races every week, because without him, I don't know if all this would be possible. Another defining moment at Thunder Road, we've made huge leaps and bounds statistically, probably our worst racetrack on the tour. This year in the Milk Bowl, we actually were able to go into the final segment, sitting 2nd in points behind Marcel Gravel, the eventual winner of the race. And unfortunately, we had an oil pan failure, and it ended our night before we got to finish the race. Big thank you to Paul Andrews. I talked to him a lot before the race with some setup stuff, and it all worked out. So thank you for that. We also did a special throwback scheme to Alan Kulwicki's championship car. I'm sure some of you saw pictures of that. That was super cool. It was an honor to be able to do that, to give back my way a little bit to the program. Honestly, wouldn't have been possible without my sponsor, Trenco Designs. I'm sure he's watching. All the late nights in the garage, wrapping the race car before we go to the racetrack. Super thankful for that. Thank you. So as much as I'm proud of this season, there's no doubt finishing second is bittersweet. As some would say, you're the first loser. But it pushes me to come back stronger next year, and I want to congratulate everyone in the program, especially Ty. This is a big deal. Everyone should enjoy it. Thank you to all the board members and everyone here supporting us today. I'm super grateful for all the opportunities you guys have given us. A big thank you goes out to Ryan, Casey, TR, and Paul. And thank you, Josh Berry and Mike Joy, for being here tonight. I have to absolutely thank my crew, who's 100% part of my family. My Uncle John for all his help in the shop. Like a couple others have touched on, countless hours in the garage. My mom and my dad for always supporting me. Reagan, my tire guy, Larry and Scoots, my fiance's family, especially your brother, Kyle, and my fiance Maddie. I wouldn't be able to do this without her. I also have to thank my sponsors who make this all possible: Superior and Ironworks, Greyhound Liquors. A big thank you to Mike, who owns Greyhound Liquors, for coming with us to Canada when we have a limited crew. Lead All Detailing, Maddie's Creations, K-Med, Emmy Sue's Boutique, Arliss Performance, and Nat's Racing Engines. This is just the beginning. Thank you all for being a part of my journey. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I'm looking forward to what's next. Here's to taking on more challenges and giving back. Thank you.
I guess I'll give this a go. I don't think I'm as good as what Alan is when it comes to the commercial spots, but we were so blessed to have our three gold sponsors tonight, and, you know, so much appreciated. And the final one was UNC Charlotte. UNC Charlotte's William States Lee College of Engineering, honored to be a part of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program, and they've been very instrumental for many years now. Alan Kulwicki's long been a strong inspiration for the college and its Niners. He applied his engineering degree to his dream and became the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Alan's commitment to education lives on at UNC, Charlotte's Alan Kulwicki Memorial Scholarship, which helps open doors for students who aspire to beat odds and follow in Alan's footsteps. The college is proud to be the home of the Alan D. Kulwicki Motorsports Lab, which our drivers were able to go and get a great tour this morning. So much appreciated there. It's a learning and working remembrance to its namesake. It's one of the largest of its kind in the United States and within just a few miles of most of the NASCAR teams. The lab may be why more NASCAR drivers, crew chiefs, and engineers earned their degree at UNC Charlotte than anywhere else. Teams understand that Charlotte's Kulwicki Lab provides one of the most hands-on experiences in the nation and one of the strongest inspirations in the business. May today's young talent know their inspiration. Niner engineers sure do. Before we introduce the champion, I think that it's very appropriate. We have some champions in the room that I think that we need to acknowledge. Special guests want to recognize members of Alan Kulwicki's not only Alan's championship team, but also other editions of Alan's teams. And if you're in attendance, I did not get a chance to see everyone. I know Joe Covington couldn't make it, but Brian Whitesell, Peter Jellin, Scott Williamson, Shane, thanks again for the tour today. Tom Mount, of course, Paul Andrews, anyone else that I have missed. If you guys would stand, we certainly want to give you a round of applause because you're a part of racing history there. Thank you, guys. And I think that maybe it was me that coined the phrase Kulwickiites. We'll always be proud Kulwickiites, that's for sure. All right, now our champion, off track. What can you say that hadn't already been said about this 2024 Kulwicki Cup champion? Since that announcement was made on November the 19th. At only 15 years of age, Ty Fredrickson turned heads for all the right reasons throughout the entire 2024 season, taking the points lead in the final vote to become the youngest KDP champion in program history. Simply put, Ty was magnificent, or as Alan Kulwicki would say, he was spectacular. The community service work that Ty did was impressive, especially as hosting families affected by ALS during the Midwest Tour event at Elko, as well as donating funding, numerous hours, clothing, food to those that were affected by Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. His efforts were well documented via his social media platforms. Now, on track, on the competition side, he certainly was spectacular. He set multiple Kulwicki program records, including becoming the youngest winner ever at 15 years, 0 months, and 28 days when he won his first ever super late model race at Dales back in April. From the regional and national perspective, Ty added to racing history by becoming the first rookie to claim the Tundra Super Series Late Model Series Championship. He also took the 2024 ASA Midwest Tour Rookie of the Year, accomplishing all of this before he even had a driver's license. Along the way, this season, in 36 races, that's appropriate, isn't it, with that car number? Ty scored 10 wins, 23 top 5 finishes, and 29 top 10s. What an amazing motorsport story this is, as Ty has taken the racing world by storm and is poised to be the next racer from the Midwest to hopefully take his craft to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage from Webster, Minnesota, your 2024 KDDP champion, Ty Fredrickson.
Well, thank you, everybody, for the claps. It means a lot. But good evening, everybody. I'm Ty Fredrickson. This is my first crack at a formal speech. So if you love it, I wrote it. If you don't love it, an AI wrote it. So just be easy on me. Either way, I'm about to nail the delivery. Okay. First off, I'd like to congratulate all 6 KDDP finalists. We all heard from them tonight. They did a great job on their speeches, and they did a great job supporting Alan and remembering him. And I'd like to give them all another round of applause for how great they did this season. We started out 2024 on a shoestring budget, just trying to get races and compete and gain experience. But we won 2 big races right off the bat, and everybody stepped up to the plate to make this a storybook season. Our sponsors are here for one reason and one reason only. They believe in me and my journey to become a NASCAR Cup Series champion, and for that, I owe them the most sincere thank you. Sorum Livestock Hauling, KDDP, Fredrickson Farms, Jaron Trucking, and Cousin Jay. My dream is that one day you will all be in the infield of Daytona or Talladega, having a good time, watching some races, eating way too much Rack Shack barbecue, and we hope Tom Roberts, Ryan Zeck, and everybody involved with the KDDP program will be involved. Racing in Wisconsin is a very special deal. Usually, I'd go to a race, go to bed around midnight, wake up at another racetrack, and do that for 3 or 4 nights a week. We couldn't have had the great season that we had without our crew guys. Nick Barstead, first and foremost, thank you for making my dreams your lifestyle. Without you, none of this would be possible. Also, a big thanks to Tanner, Greg, Dave, Picker, and Tristan for also helping out at some of the big races. In 2024, I ran 41 races against the best of the business, including going door to door with Ty Majeski, even leaving him a few donuts, and no, not the ones you eat. Thank you, Ty, for all the off-track support and advice you've given me and for the continued guidance. I also got to learn from some of the veterans like Casey Johnson, Andrew Morrissey, Jeff Storm, Ryan Farrell, Matt Craig, Bubba Pollard, Stephen Nassie, and a handful of others has really accelerated my career. And also competing against champions like Summers, Zier, Eswine, Litchfield, Refner, Gady has taught me about consistency and how to race for championships. And I'd also like to thank the promoters of all racetracks in each series that I've raced in. They've all been very gracious to me and my family, and they've made this crazy sport a lot of fun to be in. I'd like to thank PME, TZAR, and AEC for making excellent engines and helping me get the success I had this season. I'd like to thank Corey, Carl, Chris, and everybody at 5 Star Bodies for making strong, light, good-looking bodies. I'd like to thank top-notch Rolltech transmissions. We have switched exclusively to Fox shocks in 2024, and I cannot say enough about the speed and the driver feel they give me. I'd also like to thank the ultra-reliable Bassett wheels, Swift springs, and I think we have about 1,000 of them, and the ever-so-famous Hoosier tire. And hey, let's give a round of applause to Ira Saunders, if he's watching, for showing the short track community 40 years of his service to short tracks. Now some personal ones. Bon Suss, you have been a friend to my father since the beginning of the Beastie Boys, which is about the mid-'80s if you don't know. I have had the pleasure of riding down the road and listening to you talk to my dad about everything from politics to race cars for hours. It's a good thing cell phones have unlimited minutes now. My entire family is so proud to be your friends and would absolutely not have the same season without your help. Wes Herman, you have supported my family since the beginning of our racing. You have given us opportunities that we have not have had on our own. And I will say giving my grandmother was a decent payback, you have to admit. Charlie from MFR, your mentorship and support has been amazing, and I thank you for everything inside and outside of racing. Having an adult that is not related to me to fall back on is very important. Having you believe in me and sharing a common goal is much appreciated. And yes, I do think you are cooler than my dad. My brothers, Nick, Jeff, my sisters, Lauren and Harper, my grandmas and grandpas, my aunts and uncles, cousins, and all my amazing fans for being behind me in this crazy season. My Aunt Nikki, you somehow find the time to help me and everybody else before you. To be fair, we might as well keep the big check at your house for at least 6 months a year. My mom, my biggest encourager. She has the incredible way of motivating me to the best version of myself. Her belief in me pushes me to aim higher, work harder, and always stay true to who I am. She's not just my mom, but she's my biggest cheerleader. Whoa, and I lost my page. Hold on. Where am I going? There we go. Okay. My dad has always been my greatest inspiration. Watching him race when I was growing up ignited my passion for racing, and his unwavering support means the world to me. He dedicates all of his time, energy, and resources to help me reach the next level, proving that his love and belief in me shows no bounds. I would like to thank all 7 of the KDDP voters for letting me get to know you all and hearing your stories about Alan. The KDDP program has gone in just 1 year for me. The program has taught me so much, and all the lessons about conducting myself outside of the race car, having good health, and fitness has taught me so much, and I will keep that for the rest of my career. And for the next KDDP class, I have some words for you. Number 1, be prepared to work your guts out on both on and off the racetrack. Number 2, be prepared to have 6 other young racers trying their hardest, nipping at your heels all summer. Number 3, be prepared to accomplish 10 times more than you think you can accomplish now. Number 4, be prepared to have your career supercharged. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.
You know that. I think your dad's already asked about it. Sure he has. I enjoy doing this. Josh, come on up. Yes, come on. Come on, Josh.
You know, he's the banker. I don't want to tell another banker joke, but I don't see any routing numbers or account numbers on this check. Not gonna work.
All right, right here, guys.
Got it, Will?
1, 2. Take a couple more.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Hang tight. That will conclude our official evening of entertainment and smiles all over the place. But we really appreciate your attendance. If you like what you saw tonight, we're always looking for sponsorships, you know, and please visit KulwickiDDP.com and, you know, give it some thought. You know, either you personally or you know a business out there. We're continuing to get bigger and better. And, you know, champions like this kid over here, when you think about Ty Majeski, and now we got another Ty, I think that our program just continues on the upward spiral. But anyhow, thank you so much for attending. We're going to have photo ops afterwards, but enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. If I could get all of our finalists, I think Will wants to get a group shot. So if you guys could come up.